please just know your bones. Okay, this is your knowledge-based questions. Okay, we seem to have at least 4 marks every paper that are around labeling a diagram of the skeleton, or the skeleton obviously being labeled for you, and you having to identify those bones that you got from your specification. Okay, knowing the difference between the axal and the appendicular kind of skeleton, making sure you know which bones come as part of each of those. And then make sure obviously that you can, label the skeleton with all the bones that come up in that spec, everywhere from like your radius to your femur, to your patella, to your tarsals, to your metatarsals, to your scapula. Make sure you can do that. So I've given you one example there in that diagram. If we look back in like the May 2018, there's a skeleton that's in a running action. Okay, and again, they're asked to there's just 4 kind of elements on there for that. The other things they can obviously ask you is the types of joints. Okay, the classification obviously with fixed, slightly movable. Okay, looking at obviously especially the vertebrae on that one, and the freely movable, the synovial. And then obviously when we get to the synovial joints, okay, you need to be able to kind of label that synovial joint. So we just click this one a minute. You need to make sure that you're able to put on a little bit like the skeleton. Can you label the articulating cartilage, the ligaments, the synovial membrane, synovial fluid, etc., etc. Okay. Again, 2 or 3 papers have had nice diagrams, label this, or, this is A, what is A, but you also need to be able to obviously describe the functions of all of those. So what is the function of the synovial fluid? What is the function of the pads of fat? So again, label your diagram, okay, that's in that worksheet, get the labels on there, and then perhaps go around with a different color pen and put on the functions of each of them. Okay, so you've got that very visual effect of where they are, what they do. Okay, so obviously, the stability, the mobility of the joint is obviously coming made around those things. Just going back, obviously, to the types of synovial joints, making sure you know your hinge, your ball and socket. Now, what we see with these questions, though, sometimes they get combined in with the LO2 questions, the muscle questions. So you get that muscular movement of someone, say, doing a squat action, and you're asked for the type of joint at the knee, the muscle acting on the knee, and the type of muscle contraction. So what we find here is, there hasn't been very much, name this type of joint, because it's normally in a kind of a table kind of question, a label kind of question that's related in with the muscles. So obviously there are a pack of those. Again, the muscle movement worksheet that, I've adapted from an A-level context, to be fair, but, there's only going to be exactly the same for this kind of course, where you need to obviously be able to identify the main agonists, the antagonists, the joint involved, and the muscle contraction, your isometric, your concentric, and your eccentric.